The sun hung low in the sky, casting long, eerie shadows across the deserted streets of our sleepy town. It was the kind of evening that seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for something ominous to happen. And for a group of kids like us, it was the perfect time for a game of hide and seek. We had exhausted all the usual spots: the park, the abandoned factory on the outskirts of town. So when Johnny suggested we play in the abandoned school at the edge of the woods, we all eagerly agreed. The old school had been closed for years, its windows boarded up, its halls empty and echoing. It was the kind of place that sent a chill down your spine just looking at it, but to us, it was the perfect setting for a game of hide and seek. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the school in shadows, we split up, each of us finding our own hiding spot. I chose the old gymnasium, its walls covered in graffiti, its floor littered with debris. It was the perfect place to disappear into the darkness. I waited in silence, the only sound the distant hum of crickets outside. Minutes turned into hours, and still no one came to find me. I began to grow restless, wondering if maybe they had forgotten about me altogether. And then I heard it. A whisper, so faint at first that I thought it was just my imagination. But then it came again, closer this time, like a voice carried on the wind. "Come," the voice whispered. "Come to me." I should have been scared, should have run as far away from that school as I could. But something about the voice drew me in, like a moth to a flame. I had to know who was calling me, what secrets lay hidden in the depths of that dark and forgotten place. With trembling legs, I made my way to the stairs leading down to the basement. The air grew colder with each step I took, and the darkness seemed to swallow me whole. I reached the bottom of the stairs and hesitated, my hand hovering over the doorknob. What would I find on the other side? Was I about to uncover something sinister, something that should have stayed buried? But before I could turn back, the door swung open on its own, revealing a darkness so thick I could almost touch it. And there, standing in the shadows, was a figure. I couldn't make out its features, couldn't see its face, but I could feel its eyes on me, cold and unrelenting. "Come," it whispered again, its voice echoing in the darkness. "Come to me." I wanted to run, to scream for help, but I couldn't move. It was as if I were rooted to the spot, paralyzed by fear. And then, with a sudden burst of courage, I stepped forward, into the darkness. What happened next is a blur, a nightmare that haunts me to this day. I remember the feeling of cold hands wrapping around my throat, the sound of my own screams echoing off the walls. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. I found myself lying on the floor of the basement, the darkness receding around me. I stumbled to my feet, my heart racing, and ran as fast as I could out of that school, vowing never to return. But even now, all these years later, I can still hear the whispers in the dark, calling me back to that place of nightmares and shadows. And I wonder, was it all just a game, or did I stumble upon something far more sinister that night in the abandoned school?